Thank you for joining me once again. Tonight's message I've entitled A Dress Rehearsal, a Divine Dress Rehearsal. We're told in God's Word that a nation will be punished by God because of their actions towards His people. The word translated punish in some translations is the Hebrew word deen, which means to judge. God will judge the nation. He will administer and execute judgment. Abraham, many years before Moses, was told about his own people, about his descendants, and what they would experience, what they would go through, all the hardships they would experience. God said to Abraham in Genesis chapter 15, verse 13, "Know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. But I will punish or judge the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions." God will judge the nation. We see God's plan. God has a plan. His plan is twofold: judgment of the nation and deliverance of His people. Notice that He tells Abraham that the judgment would come first. The judgment would come first, and then the deliverance. He says again in Genesis chapter 15, verse 14, "I will judge the nation, and afterward, they will come out." Moses is likewise sent to primarily two heads. First is the Pharaoh, the head of the state. And second, he's sent to the elders of Israel. These are the heads, respectively, of each tribe. The assignment given to Moses was to shake up, to awaken the powers that be. "Go," Moses is told by God. "Go. Go, I am sending you. Go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." Moses is told to go to Pharaoh. But Moses' thoughts are fixated on the thoughts of his own people. He has questions. He has questions about what they'll think of him, how they'll receive him. Moses thinks, what if they question me? What if they question the assignment I've been given? What if they question my part, my role in the deliverance of the people? This deliverance sent by God. Why would Moses think like this? Why did he seem more concerned about what his people thought than confronting the head of the nation? Why was he more concerned about what the Israelites thought? You see, Moses had a past. If you recall, Moses fled from Egypt. Moses fled from the Pharaoh and went to live in Midian. But it was his own people who had called him out. It was a Hebrew that identified Moses as a killer. Moses had been identified. And with that came a label and an identity that was attached to him. Moses, the killer. The book of Acts and Stephen's sermon sheds another light on this event. We read in Acts chapter 7, verse 23. When Moses was 40 years old, he decided to visit his own people, the Israelites. He saw one of them being mistreated by an Egyptian. So he went to his defense and avenged him by killing the Egyptian. Get this is important here in this verse, number 25. Moses thought that his own people would realize that God was using him to rescue them, but they did not. You see, the people, the Hebrews, instead of seeing Moses as a rescuer, they saw him as a killer. Moses' motive was questioned. Moses' character was questioned. And so Moses fled from a place and a people where he was rejected. Acts chapter 7, verse 35. Moses, they had rejected with the words, "Who made you ruler and judge?" You know, it can be difficult to leave the past behind. Moses could have thought, they've rejected me once. What's to prevent them from doing it again? Who am I that I should go? And God comforts Moses with the words, "I will be with you." And Moses can't help to picture the doubts of his people. He can't but help to think about the hurt that he felt, this rejection, their rejection of him. So he says in Exodus chapter 3, verse 13, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you.' And they ask me, 'What is his name?' Then what shall I tell them?" You see, Moses is doing a dress rehearsal. He's doing this to build up his confidence, to be prepared, to prepare when he meets those who might still be carrying a negative conception of him. Perhaps a word had spread and others began talking about that event that happened years ago. And perhaps some folks are still carrying a negative conception of him. Perhaps they view him as an outsider, of never really being one of the people, being an outsider. And so Moses had his questions churning on the inside of him. He may have thought, "Lord, what do I do when they question me? What do I say? What shall I say to them?" And so Moses asked God for his name. Moses is not going by his own name, by his own reputation, by his own identity, by his own authority and power. By himself, he suffered a negative reputation. But now, after so many years, he is sent. Now he is sent. He is sent by the God of their fathers. And he has a name. He has an identity. He has authority and power. Moses may have thought, if they question me about the one who sent me, what shall I tell them? What name shall I give? In Exodus chapter 3, verse 14, God said to Moses, "I am who I am." This is what you are to say to the Israelites. "I am has sent me to you." And Moses may have felt and carried around this rejection. He may have carried this around, this rejection that was given by his own people. He may have felt labeled. He may have felt like his own identity was tarnished in their sight. And so when Moses is looking at returning as he is doing this dress rehearsal. He wants the name of God. Let me give them your name, God. You are the God who has called me. You are the God who is sending me out. You are the God that is asking me to go, that is telling me to return. Let me give them your name. Let me give them your identity card. Have you ever name dropped? Perhaps going to an event or going to a meeting and you say, I know so and so. That I have these connections. I know this person or that person. I'm connected with them. I'm connected with this person. What is his name? God gives Moses his name. And this is what you are to say to the Israelites. The Israelites needed to be convinced. They needed to be convinced to understand that Moses is sent. That Moses has been commissioned. That he does not come by his own authority, by his own name, but the one who has commissioned him. I am has sent me to you. The Lord, the God of your fathers, has sent me to you. And Moses is sent with a mission, and he's sent with a message. And both the mission and the message include the name. It is his mission. It is his message. Go, I am sending you. Go speak to the Israelites. Go tell them my name. Go tell them that I sent you. Exodus chapter 3, verse 16. Go, assemble the elders of Israel. Go deliver this message. I have watched over you. I have seen what has been done to you. My promise is to deliver you, to bring you up out of your misery and into a land of prosperity and promise. See, God knows the end from the beginning. And God, knowing the end from the beginning, gives Moses the assurance that the elders will listen. Exodus chapter 3, verse 18. The elders of Israel will listen to you. They will listen to the message. They will listen to you, Moses. They are in a place and position to listen. You know, sometimes people are ready to receive. Sometimes people are ready to receive and listen, but only when they get to that point where they are ready. It cannot be forced. The message cannot be forced. The person must be ready to receive. The people must be ready to receive. The elements and the factors have to be just right. These elements and factors must come together. Perhaps they were not in a place before to receive and to listen, but now they are ready. And God gives Moses this assurance that they will listen. Now they are ready to receive. And now that they are ready and have received, they take it to the state. That's the next move in the plan. Now, since they've heard and they've listened, they received, now they take it to the state. They take it to the head of the state. They deliver a message to the Pharaoh. You and the elders go. Moses and the elders of Israel are commissioned to go. You and the elders are to go to the king of Egypt and say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God. They're commissioned to bring a message. They're told to bring the Pharaoh a message. From this message that they deliver, the Pharaoh is told something about God and his people. First is that the Hebrews have a God. They don't need any of the gods of Egypt, none of those idols that are worshipped to, none of the things and the crafts and the stuff that's found in Egypt. No, the Hebrews have a God. And he is a God who meets with his people. And he is a God whose people offer sacrifices. Just from this message that's delivered to Pharaoh, Pharaoh can know a few things about God. They are commissioned to go deliver a message to him. How would the Pharaoh respond to such a message? God knows. Exodus chapter 3, verse 19. God tells Moses, "But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless a mighty hand compels him." God is certain that only an act of a powerful demonstration will change the mind and heart of the Pharaoh. And so he tells Moses in Exodus chapter 3, verse 20, "So I will stretch out my hand and strike the Egyptians with all the wonder that I will perform among them. After that, he will let you go." Sometimes people need convincing. Sometimes we go through this dress rehearsal with God. God, well, how will I respond? And if I'm put in this situation, what words will I say? Lord, how can I clear up this wreckage of the past? Sometimes people need convincing. And sometimes people need to get to an area, a position, where they're open and ready to receive, where they're open to listen to advice, to take the advice, to apply it. Sometimes people need convincing. Sometimes people need to be ready to receive. God works with each one of us where we're at. God works with each of us in his own way. My prayer is that we will be open. We'll be open and ready to receive and to do his will. Amen. I pray that this message has been a blessing to you. And I pray that you have some opportunities this week to make a difference. Go and tell someone about your faith and be there for them, to give them a encouraging word. I pray that the opportunity to be a blessing will appear for you this week, and that you will have a blessed week. And until next time, bye-bye.